What's up, fellas? How we doing this morning? Time for Wake Up Mintzy. Drinking some Stella Blue coffee. We're presented by Dude Wipes, as always. Friday morning edition, because yesterday I had a Barstool commitment during the show, and so we're doing a Friday show instead. Going to jump right in it. Shout out Tyler Moody, holding the fort down from Louisiana, as always. We're going to jump right in it. We got one of our old favorites, Ben Upton of the 11.7 College Baseball Podcast on this morning. Huge college baseball weekend. Hadn't caught up with Ben in a while. Ben, what's up, bud? How are you?
Oh, I'm rocking my only Masters T-shirt that I have, and I like to have the Masters on in the background, especially in the morning. But you're right, it is college baseball season now that the NCAA basketball tournament's over. You get a lot of college sports fans who have finished their college football season. Now they finish their college basketball season, and you're starting to see more and more year after year people being invested into college baseball. So it's gonna be cool.
Hell yeah, man. Well, a lot of stuff going on. Actually, I'll ask about the Masters real quick because that's dominating the sports world. Yesterday, Justin Rose came out and put on a show. He was like 80-1 to be the first round leader. Shot like 7 under. He's in the lead. Scotty Scheffler 4 under, right in the mix. Got to feel like we're going to be seeing him all weekend. Good looking leaderboard though. I'm on Bryson DeChambeau. He's 3 under. He had a good round, but looks like it's going to be a hell of a weekend at Augusta, as it always is.
Yeah. You know what the weather's supposed to be like the rest of the week? Because I kind of root for bad weather at the Masters.
Well,
I like
that's
the course.
usually it's raining. I mean, usually there's a ton of rain in the spring in the south, but it's not supposed to rain much this weekend, and it's not supposed to be that hot either. And that's I don't know what that favors, but it's not. I think it's going to be like in the 70s.
Okay. Well, nice weather than low scores, right?
Yeah, well, you'd think in theory. You're a Georgia guy. I mean, obviously you're from the south part of the state, but you ever been up to Augusta any?
I've been to Augusta one time, and it was to play golf, not at Augusta National. And I ran into John Daly at the Hooters afterwards,
Shut
and
up.
he was selling merchandise and all of that. It was great.
Did you get to meet him?
Oh yeah.
John Daly, American living legend, that's for sure. Well, I'm excited to watch the Masters today. That's going to be a lot of fun, but I'm even more excited about like what you said. I mean, the college baseball thing, we got swamped and overwhelmed. Great March Madness this year, Florida Gators national champions. I thought the photo, there's a pic on the internet from Monday night where Walter Clayton's standing on the ladder with the net, like with the net hanging over his neck doing the Gator chomp that I really think might be one of the most iconic photos I've ever seen in sports. Just an observation. I don't know if you saw that pic, but
I did
damn.
see it, and speaking on that game, you said I'm a Georgia boy. I do live in Georgia, but born and raised in Houston, and that game hurt. I was rooting for the Cougars hard. I was hoping Coach Sampson would get his first national championship.
Yeah, man, especially the way they lost it, not getting a shot off in the final 120 in the final 4 possessions. I mean, like you look back on that game and it felt like they dominated the whole game. They made Florida play their game, low scoring rock fight, and God, that's just one that it's so tough in sports because it's like you never gonna get that. I mean, I hope he gets back there and gets another shot because that's one of those that you like go to your grave with. As sad as that sounds.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Mincy, let me ask you a couple questions here,
Go
okay?
for it.
Are you struggling this morning? You don't seem to have the same
Oh,
energy
I'm
that you
fired up.
usually have
No,
when we talk.
no, dude. I'm
Okay.
actually super fiery this morning. I woke up in just such a good mood. The weather's nice. We had a great Barstool week with everybody in the office for the mini golf. I'm sure you watched some of that. Congratulations to Jeff DeLo's team winning mini golf. A lot of drama. I stayed up here for the end of it last night. Beef hit a hole in one on a playoff on 18 to win his match against PFT. The final match came down to Ken Jack versus John Gruden. Only at Barstool where you have a Ken. I mean, who makes up a Ken Jack Gruden match? But Gruden said it. One of the funniest clips. He's like, "This is harder than getting ready for the Baltimore Ravens defense." Gruden was struggling out there, and Ken Jack ended up winning it. Jeff's team beat Kirk's team. Everybody on Jeff's team got I believe 5K each, the 12 members. So they were celebrating, but the mini golf open, great success. I thought it was an awesome event, and no, not struggling, pumped up. Really good energy this
Making,
morning.
making sure we have good vibes because usually when you and I talk, whether it's on the phone or over Wake Up Mincy, whenever I do the show, and or even over text message, it feels like you and I are always pretty wired up. So just making sure at the start that we're not moody and gloomy.
No moody and gloomy. And now I want to get into, all right, like you said, college baseball cranking up. Want to give a shout out to your podcast, 11.7, still growing. What is this? Is this year, what, year 8, year 7 for y'all?
It's year 6 because we had a COVID year. So
Okay.
6 years of doing it. And, we've grown a little bit with adding new members and having old members get hired at other places. It's about as steady as it could be, though. We're doing good, and at the end of the day, we don't even treat it like a business. We treat it as just 4 guys who love college baseball, want to promote the sport, and it's what we do in our off time. Like when we're sitting on the couch, we're watching Sac State versus Fresno State on a Tuesday night. It's just what we love to do. So,
Well, I love seeing the growth. I've been following it for years. Obviously, you and me have been friends now for going back to since 2020.
Yeah.
2021 College World Series in Omaha. But it's just fun to follow, man. It keeps growing, and y'all social clips. I really think y'all the way y'all get the social clips out so fast and show like all the random stuff about college baseball that makes it great, because it's the most random sport of all time. I mean, the scene, you can't make up the scenes. Like the other night, seeing Bear Jones having to go pee at the porta potty in the middle of the game in Thibodaux, Louisiana for LSU Nicholls State when he might be like the SEC player of the year. Like stuff like, you just can't make this stuff up. It's only college baseball.
Yeah, Bear Jones photo was hilarious because he did win the Golden Spikes this year, which is equivalent to the Heisman. I know you know that, but some listeners might not. And he has to stand in line at a porta potty in Thibodaux, Louisiana, at Nicholls State, just like everybody else in the stands. It's amazing.
Yeah, on a
Greatest
Tuesday
sport on earth.
On a Tuesday night, but so lots to get into on the college baseball front, man. I know the SEC's been dominating the sport the last few years. Obviously, they've won every national championship going back to 2018. But this SEC this year, I mean, last year you had 4 teams in Omaha, but man, this one this year is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I mean, you look at this league. You could make a case that 14 of the 16 teams are like legitimately good. In my opinion, Missouri, I think it might be time like Premier League soccer where you get relegated. Like, I think they've just given up. They haven't won an SEC game. They got smoked again last night at Florida. And South Carolina's struggling in Paul Maneri's first year one, but they're still like competitive. All the other teams you can make arguments for that are really good. And when you go into this one,
the Florida Gators started 1-11 in SEC play. But if you look at the outside conference record, they've beat Florida State 2 out of 3 on the midweeks. They've beaten Miami 2 out of 3 on a weekend series. So it's like they're 22-14, but 1-11, or I guess 2-11 now in SEC play. So you're right. Like the SEC is loaded from top to bottom.
No, it is. And then when you look at this weekend around the sport, man, we got some huge series. And, man, I got to say, I mean, obviously – I might be a little bit of a homer, but, man, Oxford, Mississippi this weekend, number 5 Tennessee at number 6 Ole Miss. The matchup tonight, Liam Doyle, pitched for Ole Miss last year, transferred to Tennessee, has become he's maybe been the best pitcher in the country so far. He comes back to Oxford tonight, starting in Swayze against Hunter Elliott, who's been back off Tommy John and reemerged as the Ole Miss ace. Just unbelievable storylines and matchup tonight in Oxford. Andrew Fisher, Tennessee's power hitter, also was on Ole Miss's team last year and is knocking the cover off the ball. Man, I'm just excited as an Ole Miss guy after 2 bad years after the national championship to have this energy toward it. Ole Miss have an unbelievable year, 8-4 in the SEC, up to number 6 in the country, but really going to find out a lot this weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's nice that this game is at Swayze, right? Like, as an Ole Miss fan, that's got to make you feel a little bit better. Tennessee is a juggernaut. I think that they are probably the most talented team from top to bottom in the country. But you look at Ole Miss, and a team that's ranked in most college baseball polls top 8 in the country. And it's not even like they have the star power or the household names that some of these other SEC teams have. The biggest thing for me, like the bullpen has been lights out for the Rebels. Starting pitching's kind of like hit or miss. You mentioned Hunter Elliott, who's been fabulous this year. I think he's 4-0 or 5-0 on the mound. But it's like their top 3 or 4 bullpen guys all have less than a 3 ERA, which is really impressive to do in college baseball. So, man, I don't know if Ole Miss is going to win the series, but the home field advantage and kind of the rivalry not rivalry, but you had a couple of your big time players transfer over to this school. So like there is some bad blood between the two programs, I think.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. The Ole Miss thing this year, before the year, I was big on the Rebs and that I thought they'd get back to the NCAA tournament this year, and I thought they'd have a bounce back year. I did not think top 10 in the country. You know, I said I thought they'd be like a number 2 seed in an NCAA regional, and that still could happen. You never know what's going to happen in the future. But, man, I mean, awesome bounce back. You got to feel like if they have like a pretty good end of the year, they're going to get to host a regional. I don't know if they can still hold to be top 8, but thrilled with the year. The lineup, you know, Judd Utermark's broken out. You know, everybody thought he had that potential, but they hit on Ryan Moorman, the transfer from Illinois. Mitchell Sanford in the outfield. They have Hayden Federico, the true freshman from my neck of the woods in North Louisiana, is always on base.
Scott is the head coach of, is it Monroe?
Yeah, and he's the former Southern Miss pitching coach, and he went to Southern Miss.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been great for you guys.
No, and so it's just fun seeing Ole Miss baseball be back this year. But the Tennessee thing, I feel like they shouldn't have even fallen all the way to 5. It was so weird because they've been the best team. They only had one SEC loss. And, Ben, what the hell happened last Saturday in Knoxville? I mean, Tennessee no hits A&M Friday night. A&M goes 1-9 in the SEC. They get run ruled 10-0. They get no hit. And baseball's the funniest sport because overnight, you know, A&M just morphs into a different team and comes out and beats them 9-3 and 17-6 on Saturday. Hits 1 million home runs. And Tennessee, I feel like, you know, might should have fallen to like 3 or 4. I think dropping them to 5 off losing those 2 is like a little short-sighted.
Yeah, it is. But going back to your question, the college baseball is one of those sports where you can have a bad day, like whether it's on a Tuesday or a Friday or a Saturday, it doesn't matter. And it just happened that Texas A&M was having a great day at the plate. Everybody 1 through 9 was hitting, and you're playing a doubleheader. So if you're having a bad day as like a Tennessee volunteer position player at the plate, you got to play 18 innings. And when you're seeing it well and you're the Aggies and you come into the series as a must-win series because of their very slow start to the season, you get a little extra fired up. So I agree. I think one bad day does not result in losing from the number 1 spot all the way down to number 5. But you know this, like rankings don't matter right now. Like these rankings are so hypothetical with what the selection committee is going to actually do in June. So don't put too much weight on college baseball rankings.
No, I'm not. But that should be a super exciting series in Oxford. The lines aren't posted yet on DraftKings. They should be out in the next hour or 2, I would think. I'm real curious. I kind of think when it does come out, I mean, I know at Tennessee you're playing with fire, betting unders in those games, but I think I'd lean under in this Elliott Doyle matchup. But then I think the games will be higher scoring Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you really just don't know. It depends on weather. It depends on a bunch of things. But you're right. Like, trusting those 2 starting pitchers, you're probably going to be right more times than you're wrong.
Yeah, well, that series is going to be great. Some other awesome ones this weekend. I want to touch on what's going on in Athens, Georgia, because Wes Johnson, who was the Twins pitching coach and LSU's pitching coach for Skeens when they won the title in 23, man, he is coming to Georgia. And you know, there's always a lot of potential for Georgia baseball, and I know they lost the national championship series to Fresno in 08, but they've never really consistently got it going. But it seems like all the talent in that Georgia area, and you factor in their school and their alumni, it seems like a spot that should have a great baseball program. He got them to a top 8 national seed last year. They lost in the Super Regional behind Charlie Condon hitting 1 billion home runs. They lose him, and going into this year, I thought they might take a step back. Man, this team knocks the damn cover off the baseball. They got 3 guys that just murder it. And they, were up to number 3 in the country until they ran into Austin, Texas last weekend and got swept. Now they got Arkansas, the number 1 team in the country, coming in. And then you look at this Arkansas bunch this year. I mean, the last few years, the narrative on them is like they've had the best pitching staff. They had Hagen Smith last year, but the bats hadn't really been, quite as good. And I guess they took that to heart because this damn team leads the SEC in almost every hitting category. They're knocking the freaking cover off the baseball this year. I mean, it's crazy. And I think we're going to have some high scoring games in Athens this weekend.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, you look at these two offenses as a whole, they're the top two offenses in the SEC. Something I want to touch on that you mentioned, Wes Johnson is just a wizard with not only recruiting, but player development. The guys that he's bringing in, he makes immediately better. Rylan Zabrowski, he was playing in the MAC last year and not a huge home run threat. They basically bring him in from the transfer portal. They make sure they almost mimic what they did with Charlie Condon. He looks very similar in the box, very similar approaches too, and you see him blossom into potentially the home run leader in the country at the end of the year. So that's cool. Going to this series, though, I think it's going to be more important for Arkansas to prove that they can beat a very quality team on the road 2 out of 3. That's just something that I think separates that upper tier of SEC teams is like, how do you play on the road? Like, you're fine at home. You play great in front of your 12,000 fans in Fayetteville, but like, can you go into a pretty hostile environment at Georgia against a team that is coming off getting swept on the road? Like, I don't know. I want to see how these two teams play in this series, if that makes sense. Like, one team needs to win at home, one team needs to win on the road. So it should be very competitive and high scoring, like you said.
What's interesting, the Wes Johnson thing with his pitching background, you would think that Georgia would be a pitching team, and that couldn't be further from the truth. They're really not that great at pitching. They just score a crap ton of runs. So I don't know. It's kind of ironic with him being a pitching background, like the strength of that team. But yeah, no, the Arkansas thing. I mean, you look at what Dave Van Horn's done for years and years and years. I mean, it's really a crime he doesn't have that national championship that they should have won in 2018 when they dropped that ball in the bullpen in Game 2 in the ninth. But man, I don't know. Arkansas is on one. I mean, it feels like. Does it feel like to you that Arkansas, LSU, and Tennessee kind of feel like the 3 elite teams?
I would add Texas in there too.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
I
Texas,
think those 4 teams would be my upper tier of SEC teams. Like, those 4, I would feel the most comfortable winning a national championship. But we've seen it before. Like, Arkansas in 2021, #1 team unanimously in the country. They can't get it done. They can't even get to Omaha. Tennessee in 2022, we thought was the most talented team of all time. They lose to Notre Dame in the Super Regional. They can't even get to Omaha. So, right now I feel the most comfortable with those 4 teams. But who knows? They could run into an NC State or a Notre Dame that's just playing unbelievable baseball at the time and lose in a Super Regional.
No, I mean, you never know. That's the beauty of college baseball. You literally never know. Some other SEC series I want to touch on. LSU goes to Auburn. Auburn's had a big bounce back year. Had a real big series at home against Alabama last week, and they also could really hit. This LSU team, 10-2 in the SEC, pitching super impressed me. Cade Anderson threw that complete game shutout, their ace at Oklahoma last week. Anthony, I believe, is it Ianson, how you say it, the #2 guy from Cal Santa Barbara. Anson, yeah, he's been great. And then they have Chase Shores and Zach Cowan out of the bullpen have been super reliable. And then you look at this offense, Bear Jones, who we talked about, could win the Golden Spikes. That freshman outfielder, Derek Curiel, is awesome. Dickerson, the second baseman, transfer from Utah Tech or Utah Valley. I always get those two confused.
Yeah, Utah Valley, yep.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, LSU, I mean, their only 2 losses were at Texas when they lost a hotly contested series, 2 out of 3 in Austin. They're super elite. I feel like LSU wins 2 out of 3, but this should be a really good series.
Yeah, that would be the safe assumption, right? Is LSU should take care of business against Auburn. I think Auburn's a great story. I think that they've kind of been down near like the Missouri territory the last couple seasons, but it's a team that has been to Omaha, I think 3 times the last 6 years. And what Butch Thompson does is, if something's not working, he's not scared to change it. Like, he's somebody that will make changes on the fly and put people where he thinks they will succeed the best. Obviously, I think LSU is more talented than Auburn, but as you said, Auburn handled Alabama 2 out of 3 last weekend, and there was a lot of hype behind Alabama last week. So it should be a good one. It should be fun, and I love the upgrades they've done at Auburn Stadium. They have put in like double deck suites, and they put seats on top of their Fenway Green Monster. It's a beautiful sight now, one of the best in the country.
No, it definitely is, and I agree with what you're saying because I mean, I remember they played Ole Miss in Omaha in 2022, but then they kind of randomly just fell off a cliff last year. But they bounced back. You know, they're like number 11, I think, on some rankings, and so that should be a really fun series. You mentioned Texas, 11-1 in the SEC. I thought Schloss would have a very good first year. They were top 20 preseason. A big story would be Texas and Oklahoma, first time in the SEC. How would they adjust? But his first year at A&M, he got them to the Final Four in Omaha, and in the portal, I really thought that they'd be good. I didn't know that they'd be 11-1 good, sweeping Georgia, winning 2 out of 3 from LSU. And they also have, Max Bellew, one of their best players, is like out till the postseason, and they're still getting it done. They head to Kentucky. Kentucky was the number 2 national seed last year. Incredible story. Thought they'd take a step back this year. They lost most of their guys, but they're still really competitive, and I think they're an NCAA tournament team.
Oh yeah, this is a huge potential trip-up spot for Texas. You're coming off the highs of winning or sweeping the series against Georgia at home. Then you got to go to Lexington, Kentucky, in a ballpark atmosphere that is, I would say, very tough to play in at Kentucky. The field is beautiful and the stadium's awesome. The environment, though, doesn't always feel like the Ole Misses of the world or the Mississippi States of the world. And Kentucky plays traditionally really well at home. Like, they know how to play to their huge ballpark. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kentucky tripped up Texas this weekend. Like, I really think that that's a possibility for the Wildcats. So that's just kind of a bold prediction there.
No, I know what you're saying. It is a trap spot, and right when everybody's on Texas, I could kind of see it too. But either way, they're having a great first year. I like that. I think you tipped me off about Jared Spencer, their lefty ace from Indiana State that transferred on Fridays, and he's been super good as advertised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really has.
Yeah, I actually could see the under in that game tonight. Mississippi State heads to Bama. Bama's number 12. They're having a really good year, led by Justin LeBron, the All-American shortstop. I want to ask, what do you think about this Mississippi State team and situation? I know they're 3-9 in the SEC, but I don't think they're that bad. And they've won 4 or 5. I don't know that they can win the series at Bama, but I don't think it's as bad as it seems.
I still believe in Mississippi State a good bit. Like, the record is not as good as what I think this team could be. Like Pico Cone on Friday nights is up there as one of the tougher matchups in the country on Friday. The offense is still pretty lethal with Hunter Hines and those guys. I think that the fan reaction is immediately like fire Lamonis. I don't know how much that is really, like, I don't know how much he's to blame. I think he brings in good players, and I think that every year they're pretty competitive. They won a national championship 4 years ago, so it's not too crazy. Like, they're not too far off. I think that Mississippi State is a team that you can't take lightly on the weekend, but if you're a mid to upper tier SEC team, you look at them on the schedule and say, like, we got to win this series. We have to win this series. We can't slip up against them.
No, I think that's fair. Do you think they make because when you look at how tough the SEC is, I feel like usually 13 and 17, you're getting an NCAA tourney. I feel like with how tough it is this year, 12 and 18 might be enough. Do you think they can rebound to get there?
I think so. Yeah, sure, 100%. Like, they can win series against teams, even in that mid to upper tier of the SEC. Like, they're winnable series for them.
Yeah, I don't know what the schedule. I feel like it's an unfair advantage for all the teams that get to play Missouri this year. If you don't have Missouri on the schedule, it's like kind of a brutal blow for the SEC because it's how bad Missouri hadn't won a game, and so a lot of everybody that gets to play them and get that sweep really boosts their record. All right, finally, last big SEC series this weekend is a very interesting one in Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma was 23-7 in the Big 12 last year. Man, the Witherspoon brothers, they got a great pitching staff. They did get swept at home by LSU last weekend, but they're still top 20. They got smoked by Dallas Baptist on Tuesday, too, though, so they're kind of in a little bit of a funk and a losing streak. Vandy swept Florida in Gainesville last weekend, too, so they're coming in with some momentum. How do you see this playing out?
I think that both of these teams are very similar, like very similar structure, very similar build. Pitching first, J.D. Thompson and Vanderbilt's pitching staff has been really good this year, like from top to bottom. And then you already mentioned like the Witherspoon brothers, Cam Johnson for Oklahoma. They're a team that, like, they're not going to beat you with the long ball, and they're not going to sit back and try to outslug you to death. And Vanderbilt's the same way. I think Vanderbilt comes off a huge road series sweep against Florida last week, and then Oklahoma loses a tough home series to LSU. But it almost feels like these teams are going to be neck and neck this year, is potentially that last hosting spot in the SEC for a regional. I would say that they're both going to finish probably right around that 15-15 or 16-14 mark in SEC play. That'd be my prediction.
Yeah, no, I feel like both teams kind of good pitching teams, too. Maybe not the best hitting teams, so could look for some lower scoring games in Oklahoma. I want to kind of run around a little bit the rest of the country, too, because there actually is baseball being played outside the SEC. I'm curious, this ACC this year, last year 4 teams in Omaha, incredibly strong league. But going into this year, Virginia was super hyped. They were like number 2 in the country. They hadn't been as good as advertised. North Carolina's, very good. They're 25-8, but they're only 8-7 at ACC. They've got a fascinating series at home against Wake Forest this weekend. I think they got rained out last night. Wake's 24-10, 9-6 in the ACC. I'm really watching this one pretty close because I think Wake they got some serious talent, and I think they're getting it together. I kind of think they could make a run in this ACC.
As far as like potential draft prospects, Wake Forest has got 3 of them that I think could all go in the first round. It's somebody that they're a team that every year they reload, and you don't know the names of the guys until the season starts, and you're like, wow, like Merrick Houston is actually a superstar and could potentially win the Golden Spikes. I think Wake Forest is very dangerous. Last year was a little bit of a slip-up year from their standards, but still good overall. I think they are somebody that could get to Omaha and do some damage for sure. But North Carolina was a team that I was very high on going into the season. I thought roster construction-wise and especially starting pitching was something that could carry them to, a 24-6 ACC record. I thought that them and Clemson would be the 2 best teams. And it just really hasn't shaken out that way for UNC yet. I think they've already lost 2 or 3 ACC series. And right now, like the ACC seems like it's going to go through Clemson, who's been the most consistent team, with teams like Florida State, Wake Forest, UNC, Georgia Tech is another surprise team that I think are just behind Clemson when it comes to trustability.
Yeah, no, Clemson number 4 in the country, hosting Stanford this weekend. Eric Bakich, man, he's one of the best college baseball coaches in the country. I mean, almost won a national title in 2019 at Michigan, which is just crazy to think about in college baseball. And led by Cam Cantarella, the outfielder. They do look like the class of the ACC. They should roll. Stanford had that good start, but man, in the ACC, but man, they've really fallen off. They're 5-10 right now, and I feel like things are trending a little south for them. Florida State at Virginia Tech's a top 25 series matchup this weekend too. Curious how that goes, because Virginia Tech, people forget 2 years ago they were a national seed, didn't make it to Omaha, kind of fell off last year, but this ought to be interesting too. Jamie Arnold, many people feel number 1 pick in the draft going tonight too.
He's so good. Like, I love watching Jamie Arnold pitch. He's somebody that he could make that Paul Skeens type of jump directly not directly into Major League Baseball, but somebody that I think can eat up Major League Baseball innings today if he had to. So yeah, he's must-watch television. Love watching him pitch.
No doubt. And then the other one series, there's an interesting one, Louisville at NC State. Louisville's had a big bounce-back year. They're up to number 14. NC State, you made it to Omaha last year. I feel like NC State every year they start slow and then they get hot, and I think they're kind of showing signs of it. So I'm curious what happens in that one this weekend too.
NC State, you kind of hit the nail on the head. They always start out a little slow and then they build their way up, and that's just credit to Coach Avant. He's somebody that he is not afraid to mix and match the lineup and figure out who his bullpen guys are going to be. He takes a lot of pride in basically putting the best team out every single day rather than like letting guys struggle in certain positions. And we see that every year they get hot towards the postseason time. So it's almost middle April. This is when you start trusting the Wolfpack of NC State.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm curious. I kind of feel like they could win that series. I want to ask a little bit about Big 12 baseball this year because you obviously lose two of your superpowers in Oklahoma and Texas, and so it kind of throws the balance of the conference open. But it kind of seems like it's kind of wide open. You know, Kansas is good this year. They're number 22 now. They had some momentum off last year, but they got a fun series in Fort Worth. TCU's 8-4 in the Big 12. You know, obviously they get the benefit of the doubt with how their program's been the last few years. Arizona's number 24. Oklahoma, they're hosting Oklahoma State, who's been kind of disappointing, to be honest. But when you look at this Big 12, who impresses you?
Arizona probably would be. Well, there's three teams. Like Arizona, I think is the most complete team in the Big 12. They started out really slow. That first opening weekend in Arlington was bad. It was bad to watch. But they've come full circle. They get a huge series win last weekend on the road at Arizona State in a very hostile environment. And then like the Kansas Jayhawks, a team that they actually came in the season with some preseason hype. They're a team that hits the JUCO portal hard. They develop guys really well, and you see it this year with they have probably the best student section in college baseball.
Really?
And they've been nothing but just I've been nothing but pleased with how they've turned out this season. Now they have a tough weekend on the road at TCU this week. So usually TCU will humble hot teams or trendy teams and just say, hey, once you come into Fort Worth, we'll take care of business. But TCU's actually struggled. Like the two big weekend series they've had at home this year were against Southern Miss and Arizona State, and they lose 2 out of 3 both times at home against those teams. So, like, can TCU actually turn a corner and prove that they can win when it matters?
Yeah, TCU took a tough break. They lost their Friday night guy to Tommy John right before the season too, and so that, yeah. I mean, obviously that's part of baseball, but like that certainly has impacted their team going forward. I also love one of my favorite things about 11.7 is how much love y'all give to the G5. When you look at the G5 this year, I know Troy's good. Western Kentucky's been very surprising. I saw their top 5 in y'all's G5 rankings.
Oh yeah. Western Kentucky, they have played a very easy schedule, like 250 or 260 strength of schedule this year. But last weekend was a statement weekend where they go on the road and beat Dallas Baptist 2 out of 3. And we know how good Dallas Baptist is. Like if you follow even the tiniest bit of college baseball, Dallas Baptist is a factory, and they usually don't lose those type of series. So you got to take Western Kentucky as serious as anybody right now in the G5. And then out of like the Sun Belt, you already mentioned Troy. I think they're a team that is dangerous when it comes to the postseason. They've already beat Coastal Carolina 2 out of 3, who right now I think Coastal Carolina might be the highest RPI G5 team out there, and in a pretty good position to host a regional. And then out west, UC Irvine might be the best mid-major college baseball team in the country. We have them ranked number 1 in the country, and they've held that title for the last 5 or 6 weeks. So the Anteaters out west, they're going to be fun to watch in the postseason.
Yeah, I love that, man. So Sunbelt's got a pretty good league this year with Coastal and Troy. I know UL Lafayette's kind of fallen off a little bit, which has been a little disappointing because it seemed like the Bend Eggs had that rolling again. But no, Sunbelt, really good league, as it always is in college baseball. So much talent in the South. But any other G5 teams that you think are kind of sleepers, keep your eye on?
Sleeper-wise, I would look at that the American Athletic Conference. We're so used to having East Carolina just run the conference and be that premier team, and it's almost like because of the transfer portal, other programs have caught up. USF, like South Florida, had a splash hire in hiring Indiana State's longtime head coach Mitch Hanna's, who we've seen host regionals and make super regionals the last couple of years. They went from being picked last in the American this year to being in first place right now. Um, FAU, Tulane. I know I'm going to forget some. Charlotte's really good. Like that conference is pretty balanced right now, other than like Memphis and Rice at the bottom of the standings. I think there's some pretty good talent out of the American this year that nobody's really talking about.
Yeah, what did you think about the Rice just hiring David Pierce in the middle of the season? That was a wild. Certainly don't blame him. The guy has such a good pedigree, but I don't know that I've ever seen like a full change like that in the middle of a season. Like usually you just go to an interim.
Yeah, that was it was different, right? But I think it was the right move. If David Pierce is available and wants the job, you got to just give it to him. He's somebody that I don't even think deserved to get fired from Texas. He was still winning baseball games at Texas, and they decided to make the switch to Schlossnagel. But yeah, I mean, if you're Rice, like there's nobody better to lead that program back to success than David Pierce.
Look, I agree. Great, and he also used to coach there under Coach Graham, and so obviously has a lot of history there. I got a couple questions. I'm looking at national championship futures right now on DraftKings, and I'm a big believer in finding the long shots because I don't like the taking the chalk that don't have good enough odds, especially in an unpredictable sport like baseball. So right now Tennessee's 4-1, LSU plus 750, Arkansas 9-1, Clemson 10-1 are your favorites, but I'm not really looking there. I think that's like too obvious. Of the like mid-tier to longer shots, Texas 15-1. I feel like they should be like 8 or 10-1 right now. I mean, I know that you're a little late to the party when they're 11-1 though, but I feel like their odds look pretty good. I'm looking at some of these other ones. Wake Forest 35-1. You mentioned that you thought they could make Omaha and could get hot, and then I placed a bet on A&M 50-1 this week, which is probably stupid, but I just like see the talent on their team. And now they got Caden Sorrell's back. He had the walk-off bomb against South Carolina. And like baseball is just such a weird sport. I mean, Mississippi State was 2-7 in SEC in 2021. Ole Miss was 1-8 in 2022, and they both won the national title. So, I took a little shot at the preseason number one because all the talent. They had a walk-off homer to beat South Carolina last night, but they didn't look like a national champion.
I wouldn't say that was stupid at all. Like they were the preseason unanimous number one team in the country for a reason. The talent is there, and you actually hit the nail on the head with Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Pretty similar paths to their national championship. So if A&M can play their best baseball now throughout the rest of the season, I mean, they're not going to be an underdog in very many regionals, even if they're a 3 seed. Like if they're a 3 seed out west at UCLA, it's like you kind of have to lean Texas A&M to win that, right?
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts, and we'll see. I mean, last night they like I said, they won 8-7 on a walk-off bomb. That Selly, they hit the master Selly with the green jacket. That was a classic college baseball moment, I thought, last night. But when I went through A&M's schedule, look, they've got murders, right? I mean, they got to go to Arkansas, to Georgia, to Texas, and LSU at home. So the key to my theory, they're 4-9 in the SEC. You need sweeps at home over South Carolina and Missouri. I mean, you got to sweep. Like, you need to sweep those and then just kind of pick up a few of those other games to get to 12 or 13 wins and make the tourney. But, if they could take care of business this weekend against South Carolina and get to 6-9, I'll feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, just take care of weekend series after weekend series. Don't look too far ahead. But, yeah, I mean, 50-1, it seems like if they can just play good baseball, that number is going to continue to get lower and lower.
Yeah, I was surprised that Ole Miss is still 50-1 with them being ranked top 10. I'm not saying this is like a national championship team, but I do think it's a team that has potential. If things break right, they might can make Omaha. I just figured the odds would have dropped more after them doing well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where even if you think you have the best futures wager out there, like it's college baseball. Anything can happen, and shoot, we might have a UC Irvine versus UCLA national championship. Like it's a weird sport, but that's why we love it.
Yeah, that's why I like looking for those longer shots, though, because anything can happen. I don't think there's really any money to be made. Like, I mean, Tennessee or LSU or Arkansas all could very easily win the national title. They're the best three teams. I'm not saying they're not. But I just don't feel like you can bet 4 or 6 to 1s in college baseball, just like the way the sport is.
Exactly. No, I agree with that.
Well, what else? You make any game? Like I know you sit back and watch a lot of them. Have you made any series or gotten out on the road any?
Yeah, I went down to Jacksonville for that the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp Classic. I got to see 3 regional teams with NC State, Alabama, and Coastal Carolina, and that was a lot of fun. That was a couple weeks ago, and I think Alabama's the real deal, and I think Coastal Carolina's the real deal too. Uh, I Coastal Carolina is a completely different team than what we have all had this stigma around in the last few years of. In the past, it was they can really hit, they can't pitch. This year, they can really pitch, and I think the offense is not as good, but still good enough. So, like, that's a team that I think can make some noise down the stretch and into the postseason.
Nice. Well, I'm loving getting fired up for this part of the year. Like I said, I mean, obviously you got Masters this weekend, but after that, I mean, it's a breakneck sprint through Omaha in June. Are you trying to? Have you figured out your I remember last year y'all did the SEC tourney in the Sun Belt because they're fairly close. Have you figured out? Are y'all going to do any conference tourneys or Omaha or anything this year?
Definitely Omaha. That's already been booked and everything. So I'll be in Omaha. Conference tournament. I liked what we did last year with the SEC tournament, and then drove down to the Sun Belt tournament. They're both in Alabama. And then on the way back home, went to the SWAC tournament through Atlanta because that's at Georgia Tech's field. So that was a lot of fun last year. I'm sure we will probably do that again, but we might head up to like the Carolinas area and watch the ACC tournament and then like the Big South tournament and SoCon tournament. We might pivot to that this year. So nothing concrete yet.
Well, I'm definitely working behind the scenes trying to make it back to Omaha this year. So hopefully we'll get to hang out there. I mean, there's just nothing like the College World Series in Omaha. I think it's like it may be the purest like American sporting event there is left. I mean, it's especially
it really is.
Especially the night games, like those 1:00 day games are hot. I wish they always play 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. I kind of wish they'd do like 2 or 3 p.m. and like 7 or 8 p.m. because it's those night games out there are just those are the best. Like I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, those day games can get hot.
Yeah, that there ain't no doubt about that. Well, Ben, everything, glad to hear everything's going good with 11.7. Man, awesome catching up with you this morning, getting in the spirit of the college baseball. I can't wait I'm going to get the TVs out in the gambling cave tonight and just have them all on. And I'm so pumped to see what happens in Oxford, Mississippi tonight. I mean,
it's going to be a blast.
Yep. I mean, I don't see how you could have a more electric matchup than Liam Doyle coming back to Swayze against Hunter Elliott tonight. I mean, man.
I'm expecting fireworks, Mintzy. Lots of fireworks tonight.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thanks to Ben Upton of 11.7 for joining us this morning, getting in the spirit of college baseball. About to turn the Masters on. Have a hell of a day. And thanks to everybody that watched mini golf the last 2 days, too. Let's have a weekend. Let's make some money.